Hi, it's KCCK's Culture Crawl. I'm Dennis Green, and my guests today are from the upcoming Crooked Path Productions production of Pride and the Prejudice. Coming up, Patrick Du Laney, who is one of the principals of Crooked Path.
Hi, Dennis. Nice to see you again.
Good to have you here. And Katy Hahn, who's in the cast. Welcome.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Haven't seen you for a while. And
yeah, it's been a minute, hasn't it?
Yeah. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Well, I think the last thing I saw you in was you were playing Prince Hal in Shakespeare, so you've gone pretty much from a gender-swapped Shakespeare role to perhaps one of the most traditional female stories ever.
It was interesting. I've talked to Patrick about how I actually had a stretch where I was playing a lot of traditionally male characters. I played Hal, and then I played Henry V a couple years later at Riverside, and then just last year played Laertes in Crooked Path's production of Hamlet. So it's nice to wear a dress again.
But having said that, this is a new-ish adaptation and is definitely going to take some aspects of the stories in a more feminist direction. Yes?
Yeah, this adaptation is by a playwright named Kate Hamill. Kate Hamill did a production of Sense and Sensibility maybe 15 years ago in New York, and it was this surprise hit. And so she started really quickly moving to all these other adaptations, and Pride and Prejudice is one of them. She has a real point of view of taking these traditionally masculine points of view in literature and changing them to feminist point of view. Even Jane Austen from a certain point of view, because in a patriarchal world, she does move it into a feminist perspective.
Yeah, it was originally written the story about women, but in a patriarchal society.
Yes, I'm not sure Pride and Prejudice would pass the Bechdel test.
Okay.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, but help me out. As a traditional male, Jane Austen not at the top of my reading list. I get my Sense and Sensibility and my Pride and my Prejudice mixed up.
Totally understood. Totally understood. First of all, Pride and Prejudice is the famous one. That's the Colin Firth in the water scene. Mm-hmm. And then there was an adaptation in the early aughts with Keira Knightley as Lizzie Bennet. Of the two, I think it has probably a little more pop culture cachet and recognizability. Listen, I'm the same as you. Why would I want to read Jane Austen? And boy, did I get in First in Sensibility that we did a couple years ago, and now in this, I've really gotten turned around as just the delightful turns of phrases that the books offer, and now the play offers.
How then does this adaptation differ from maybe some of the others that we've seen?
I don't think it particularly differs as far as the plot goes. It's a little pared down just for purposes of the theater. The play is a touch wacky. It's a touch silly. She takes some fun liberties with the source material. I mean, she describes the play as a farce, and it really does play like that. It's fast and funny. So I would say that would be the main difference.
Yeah. There is a Pride and Prejudice and zombies. Probably not quite that far.
Not quite that
it's not
far.
Quite.
No.
Katy, tell me about this from your perspective.
Sure.
What's your history with the source material to start off with?
I grew up
since Patrick and I have just said we have no history with this.
Yes, as the woman in the room, I actually grew up on a steady diet of Jane Austen movies and then later the books. I watched movies like Emma with Gwyneth Paltrow from the 90s, and of course the BBC Pride and Prejudice, and eventually the Keira Knightley Pride and Prejudice, and Sense and Sensibility, and all those good ones with my mom. I've probably seen each of those over a dozen times easily. And it just embodied so many things that my mother and I both enjoyed. So for me, this story is not just a love story, but it's a deep connection that I have to my mom. I'm actually wearing a necklace today that my mom gave me that has a Jane Austen quote on it. And so it's really lovely to get to play one of these characters that I remember, doting on in the books and the movies. And I think Pride and Prejudice is my favorite Austen story. It's just that quintessential, we totally hate each other. Wait, maybe we don't. Will they, won't they? That whole thing. It's one of the originals.
She kind of invented that genre.
Yeah, I mean, Shakespeare did a little bit of that too, but it's one of those archetypal stories that's been around for a while, but she does it in such a beautiful way, and I think Kate Hamill captures that, as Patrick was saying, with a lot of humor. That's a lot of fun.
Now, having heard what Patrick had to say about the differences with this adaptation, is that your perception of this new adaptation too?
Yeah, I think that, a lot of times when you have something that started as a novel that ends up becoming a play, you cut out all of the, not unnecessary, but all of the extra stuff And you really have to pare it down to what is necessary to get this story told.
Well, you lose the internal dialogue. to start
Exactly.
with.
Yeah. Kate Hamill, I'm sure, had to really whittle it down to what are the most important events that happen and focus on those. And so, yeah, there's a couple of the secondary characters are cut, but it moves very fast. It's very funny. It has a little bit of a contemporary flavor without losing what we love so much about that Regency time period. It's still very romantic and we still have all the pretty dresses and stuff. But there's a little bit of a modern edge to it that helps it resonate even more with contemporary audiences.
Now, these days, your day job is
Yeah.
You're a theater professor
I sure am.
at UNI.
Uh-huh.
And now, and obviously you've continued to act yourself a lot
Yeah,
while
yeah.
you're doing this. But I always think that when you teach something and then you have to go do it, it really changes, it changes your avenues of your brain
Sure.
a little bit. So just tell me a little bit about that thought process, because I'm sure you have these things where you're going, okay, I told my students not to do it this way, and here I am.
Sure. Yeah, that's a great point. George Bernard Shaw used to say, those who can do, those who can't teach. And Uta Hagen, famous acting teacher, said only those who can should teach. And I've tried to let that guide me, and that if I'm going to teach something, I better keep doing it too, as much as I can. And I think that it keeps me humble, it keeps me grounded, and it keeps me empathetic towards my students, because I'm not just the person telling them how to do it, I'm also working through it myself. It can be very vulnerable when I have students come and see me act, because it's like, oh gosh, I hope they like it. I hope they don't think I'm a hack. But it's also just really wonderful to constantly be working on the craft and letting go of those perfectionistic tendencies that so many of us have. I think I've really been grateful to Patrick for reminding me, you don't have to be perfect. You can just have fun with this. Because there is a little extra pressure, I think, that sometimes we put on ourselves when we are trusted to teach the thing. We're like, okay, I better be the best person in the room. And I'm very grateful to be with a group of other very talented and wonderful people. So we're all just kind of having a ball and telling a story, and it's a good time.
Patrick, it's the dead of winter, of course, when we're doing this, but it is.
I hadn't heard.
Yeah. But I understand it's going to be the height of summer.
Yes.
At this show.
We're doing a little seasonal counter programming. So the whole idea of the show is an English country garden. So you walk in and you're sort of inundated with color and light. And we actually have an art installation going on outside the James Theater right now. A local artist named Justin Wisdom has created these enormous 3-foot flowers, and they cover the front of the James Theater right now. So when you're driving by, take a gander. Don't smell them because, they're paper. But and then come in and buy a ticket. The whole idea of the show and why we're doing it now is it's cold outside, but it's warm in here.
And you're doing something. The seating is.
Yeah,
You're
so
doing
there
something
was
creative with the seating too.
It was famously said of this book, as in a critique, that all this book is people going to each other's houses and eating and talking. We sort of have taken that literally, and part of the audience will be sitting on wagons that travel through the space. So the audience becomes the different houses as we move through the play. We're calling that the Austen experience. So when you buy your tickets, there's a regular price, a student price, and then the Austen experience prices.
All right.
For my money, that's where you want to be, because you never know where you're going to be in the space from scene to scene, and you're in the house with the Bennets.
It's like a Disneyland experience.
Yes.
In a lot of ways.
But you don't have to learn lines. Or
No,
anything.
but it's
I was told there would be no lines to learn.
It's a little more Pirates of the Caribbean, a little less Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
Okay. You alluded to getting to wear a dress again.
Yes.
So, of course, with these the Regency era, we got to talk about the costumes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Jill Van Brussel designed our costumes, and they are lovely. It's a palette of whites and creams, and I get to wear this lovely lace dress with the empire waist. It's very much, little girl Katie's dream. And Mr. Darcy in particular looks very dashing.
He does.
In his coat and his boots.
He
and
cuts a
everything.
figure. He does.
Yes. It is a bit of a dream getting to wear these lovely costumes. And that's one of the things I'm most looking forward to when my mom comes on Sunday, is hearing what she thinks of the costumes, because she's a big fan of those kinds of things.
Yeah. We're hoping this is what you come to do in between seasons of Bridgerton.
Yes.
Oh, there you go.
Yes. Get your Regency fix. There will be fans available at the door, so you can practice all of your Regency fan etiquette.
Yes.
How to say yes, how to say no,
In
how to
case
say
you get the
buzz off.
vapors.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so this is something that we're cultivating at Crooked Path. We want to confound expectations a little. In a typical theater experience, you walk in, you sit down, there's a pre-show announcement, the lights go down, and you see a show. Hopefully it's a good show. But we really take the idea of this community involvement to heart, and the idea of being able to be a part of the play and allow yourself to be surprised constantly by what you're seeing, to let yourself release into it. Theater serves a lot of purposes, a lot of different purposes throughout. And sometimes, particularly in times of difficulty, sometimes it's important to be taken out of yourself for a couple of hours. And that's what we're hoping to do. It's an English country garden. It's funny and fast and romantic and all the swoons and all the feels that you're hoping to get for a couple of hours. Just be taken out of this February in Iowa just for a couple of hours.
Pride and Prejudice opens at the James Theater, runs February 21st through March 2nd. Evening shows and matinees as usual.
Yes, 6 performances. Tickets are available at the James IC.
All right. And if people want more information, not only about this, but about what else Crooked Path has going on, they can visit your website, which is?
Absolutely. Yep. crookedpaththeater.com to learn about this and other exciting things that we have coming up. But we're really excited about this one, and we can't wait for you to come see it.
Yeah. Escape the winter and spend some time in the English country garden. I like it.
Yes.
Yeah. Again, crookedpaththeater.com if you'd like more information. Good luck with it, and thanks for being here.
Thanks you
Thanks,
so
Dennis.
much,
Nice to see you
Dennis.
again.
You can hear The Culture Crawl live on the radio most weekdays at 10:30, on demand at kcck.org/culture, or subscribe using your favorite podcast player. Watch our videos on the KCCK Facebook and YouTube channels. Our producer is Lydia Kilgore. The Culture Crawl theme is composed by Vivian Shanley. I'm Dennis Green, and I'll talk to you later.